I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. We have a special episode.
I know, I am so excited because this is someone who I've never worked with, but have worked with. I'm very excited to have a guest today.
Okay, you know when you say it like that, it makes it sound like a made-up thing. That
It's kind of like, the magician who says, this person from the audience with whom I have never worked, but it's a plant that's,
That's the analogy you're going to do?
That's the analogy.
Okay, I'm going to take over introducing this person.
Okay, yeah, please do.
That was a terrible analogy. Anyway, okay, we are super lucky because this person has been a part of one of our most favorite handsome boy things, but I would say it's slightly cursed as well.
Hey,
But it is the amazing Sarah French.
Yes. Hi.
Come.
Hello. It's so good to see you guys and meet you in person, kind of.
Kinda, right?
It's COVID in person. That's what we'll call it. COVID in person. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I have to say? It did open it up for more things like this.
That's
because
honestly, when I was doing Eerie Appalachia, I was only able to do 10 interviews during 2020 originally, but then when the world ended, I was able to do 40 interviews because I was able to do this.
Yeah, because that's all you could do.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely, I think it broadened, it was a horrible thing, but I think it's also broadened things. So, but needless to say, Sarah, it is so wonderful to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me on. This is very exciting. And I gotta say, I love the sound of your channel because it's right up my alley. I'm totally into ghosts, the paranormal, like all that stuff, hauntings, UFOs. I do lots of horror films. Like, this is right up my alley.
Yes.
This is why we were like, we have to get you on the show.
Yes.
So, and it was funny because we both worked on a project about, as we mentioned, our favorite boy,
Robert the Doll
down in so,
yes.
I had written about him in Eerie, Florida, so they brought me on as a talking head. But then you got to portray one of my favorite actual historical figures from the whole Robert the Doll story. So, which is Anne, right? Anne Otto.
Yes, Anne Otto, the wife of Eugene Otto, who was the original owner of Robert the Doll.
Yeah, and Anne is just such a tragic character in this story, but that I think gets left out of so many tellings. It's always the story of Jean.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. And she's kind of like the silent victim in this, because she was, she had to deal with all of the BS that, she obviously Eugene, he had, a problem. He was addicted to this doll. He, and she just wanted kind of a normal relationship. She wanted a normal marriage, just like anybody. And she got, she had to put up with a lot of his stubbornness, his issues, and she had to deal with it in her own way. Now, it's interesting. I was trying to do some research on her before I played the role, before we started filming, and there's really not a lot of information on her, which is also sad.
Yeah, I mean, all her stuff was from New York, where she she sang at the Rainbow Room, which is huge, but again, her origins and all that are very, very, kind of, there's no real, how did she, where did she come from and all this.
Yeah. And some of the research I was doing, she wanted to be, or she was what was it? A professional pianist?
Yeah.
Yes, and a singer. But she kind of had to put that on hold when they moved down to Florida to take over the house. And she kind of had to put her life on hold, which is really sad, because as an independent artist myself, like, you have to basically care for somebody and put your life on hold. And it's a hard thing to do. And I give her a lot of mad props for being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, for those who don't know the story, Robert was the childhood toy of Robert Eugene Otto, and then this doll gets a life of its own. He gives him his name, he gives him his clothes, and the doll becomes Robert and he becomes Eugene. It literally is giving himself to this doll, his life, his personality, and his poor parents are dealing with all this at the time. And as that's going on, more and more weirdness starts happening. They finally lock the doll in an attic. He grows up, he moves away, goes to Paris to become an artist. He learns new things. He's forgotten about the doll. He comes to New York, and that's where he meets Anne, and they become an item. And she is the famous one, and he is kind of just the side character. But then his mother gets sick, and his father had passed away, and he has to come down to Key West to restore his house, and that's when he brings his wife down. And then suddenly it shifts because he's got the doll, he's the artist, he's famous in Key West, and she isn't. And like you said, she had to put her life on back order and all this, and then all the while in the background is the doll, Robert, the doll, and the wife is actually the one who found him in the attic and brought all this on herself a little bit. So,
and she's like, "What is this weird, creepy thing?" Because that's what I would have been like. What? Why do you have this? It's like, what is this? And then it's like the connection with Eugene and the doll just instantly happens, and he's like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot about you." So it's a sad, unfortunate, thing, because like I said, Anne was not happy. She was tormented by this doll. And, she didn't really have her husband to, be a husband, because he was so infatuated with his work, the doll, and the wife was kind of just put on the sidelines.
One of the things, when I interviewed one of the original witnesses of Robert, who remembered just being in Key West at the time, they would go to restaurants, and was a friend of Anne's, and said that she would see Gene and Robert come into the restaurant, and then 5 minutes had to pass before Anne was allowed to come out of the car and come in, because they had to have their grand entrance.
Oh yeah.
What? That's insanity.
Wow, that's messed up.
Yeah, poor Anne during all this. So now you got to work with Stunt Robert, which was amazing to me, right?
Yes.
Made by.
Wait, I have a question. Okay. You're doing that thing. You're doing
sorry,
thing. I know. You down the rabbit hole. So, wow. I feel sometimes my entire job on this podcast is pump the brakes. Like, I'm like the
crowd control
teacher, the student driver that's like, So my first question is, Sarah, when this part comes up, right? You had to have known a little bit about the legend of Robert the Doll, or started to when you looked at this, right? Well, so tell me that, because besides this, which I know we could probably do 4 hours of podcasts on Robert himself, and I want to talk about more about you. We're just going to touch on this.
That's all I did. I was just
I'm down for whatever.
But I want to know, because there are certain stories that I feel like, and I'm a horror author, right? I write really, things, even though I will nope out of a situation. But I just go, if somebody handed me the script, I'd be like, nope, there you go. So really? Tell me a little bit about that. Well, because, he happens to be one of those paranormal phenomenons that there has been a lot of evidence that something, whatever it is associated with this doll. Even the person who made the film, right?
Made the original. There was a Curse of Robert the Doll film made in 2016. It was unauthorized and had nothing to do with. It was made by a German film company as tax write-off, and the producer of that immediately got arrested for other reasons, and then died in prison
of some really weird illness.
Really freaky illness. So that just shows you why you don't mess with Robert. So one more tale to add to his.
Yeah. So I just, on this, I go, tell me about this. Tell me about you.
Wow. That's
the script. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, I gotta say, it all kind of came full circle for me with this job. I'm a huge horror fan. I actually grew up watching horror films when I was 5 years old. My mom was very religious. She didn't let my sister and I watch anything bad, no kissing, no blood, no nothing on TV, right? And, when your parents tell you not to do something, what do?
Immediately
do
it. I was gonna say,
you want to do
Elvira, Dr. Paul Bearer, immediately snap.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so my grandma was babysitting my sister and I one night, and grandmas are really cool, right?
Yeah.
And we go to the video store. Yes, I'm dating myself.
That's okay.
It's okay.
All the time. You're talking your fellow video store people.
Yeah. You're all good.
I miss it. I miss it so much. But we went to the video store and we were checking out the new releases and everything. And there was a film on the shelf called Child's Play.
Oh, yes.
That is where it all started for me. It was that particular film.
Do you remember the My Buddy dolls at that same time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The male and female. Anyway, that's
those things are creepy as hell.
Killed that entire line.
That movie literally killed that toy line. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that and the possessed Cabbage Patch dolls, but that's a different show. Okay.
Oh God. Yeah. So, I saw it and I was like, I saw the cover. I saw the doll on the cover. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch this. And I was like 5 years old. My sister was 6. So we go to my grandma and we're like, hey, grandma, this is a cool, fun kids movie. It's a new release. Can you rent it for us? And my grandma's not stupid. We thought we were pulling one over on her. And she's like, sure, I'll rent it for you. And I think she just did it because she wanted to make us happy. And
I think
so
she did it just because she wanted to have your mom pay back for something in her childhood, and you guys would be up for the next 2 weeks. Yes.
Oh, that's great. So we go home, put the movie in, and I was scared to death of dolls, toys. I'm like, is my doll going to try stealing my soul?
Well,
the answer is probably yes, really, and truly.
It terrified me, but because I was so terrified, I loved it. And I loved that feeling of being scared. And I was like, I have to have more. I want more. And then from that day on, I would just try to get my hands on as many horror movies as I could, and I just fell in love with the genre. I fell in love with being scared. And with that followed me into my teenage years. And, I'd make short horror films and things with my friends when I was in high school. When others were doing drugs, I was making little movies. And then that followed me into my adulthood with acting in them. But where I was going with this was back to Robert the Doll. A casting call came up on my phone, and it said they were looking for somebody that was in their 30s, that was mom-like, that was blonde, that basically had my description to a T. And I was like, okay. And then it said something, because they don't give you all the information.
No.
It said something about a haunted item or something like that. And anything that has to do with horror, haunts, anything like that. And I love doing recreation shows. They're so much fun to do. I instantly saw the haunted thing and I was like, I got to apply for this. And it's my description. So I hit I'll do the audition, but they have to accept you if they see you and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll send her the sides and everything. And the next day I got an email saying, we want you to audition for this. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. But what's funny is 24 hours later, I was flying out to Puerto Rico to work on another film. So I had to do this audition in 24 hours or less.
Wow.
Wow.
And that the whole audition process is a whole nother beast in and of itself.
Yeah.
And for the audition, they said, okay, so here's what we want. I still didn't know at the time it had to do with Robert the Doll, but in the audition, we had to show all these different ranges of emotions, and they didn't even send me sides. They actually said, we want you to come up with a 1 minute long story you create yourself. And it has to do with like this haunted doll that takes place in the, what'd they say, the mid 1900s, or when was Robert the Doll?
He started in the late 1800s, but
that's right.
But it was 1900s is when.
That's right. Yeah, the early
1920s, 30s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and they said, okay, so it has to do with the haunted doll in the early 1900s, and you're scared. So show us what you can do. A minute story showing different ranges of emotions with a haunted doll involved. And I was like, I've never had an audition like that before. They usually give you sides. They usually give you dialogue. So it was really weird, but luckily for me, my boyfriend is a really amazing screenwriter. So I said, okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. And we worked very well together.
Good,
and I said, Joe, I'm freaking out. And this is when I do my best work, is when I'm under extreme pressure. And this is extreme pressure because I really wanted this. And I'm like, Joe, please, here's what I need. Here are the perimeters, 1 minute story. I show all these different emotions and, give them a story of some sorts. And Joe's like, okay. I was like, please help me come up with something. So a half hour later, he comes up with this whole story, and he hands it to me, and it's literally a page long. I'm like, how am I supposed to memorize this whole thing in less than 24 hours and get it shot and get it sent in? I'm like, I'm good, but damn, that's like, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. And I was like, okay, just take a deep breath. I can do this. I'm going to do my best. And so that night I was studying after he gave me the page. I studied my butt off. The next morning I went on a really big hike, because that's when I do a lot of my studying, is when I'm hiking. I studied everything about this, and I was able within that to create all these different emotions, different breaks, different things that they wanted. And then I do the audition. Well, before I do the audition, I said to Joy, I can't do this. There's no way. I still have to pack for Puerto Rico. I'm going to be gone for a whole week. I'm stressed out. I can't do it. And he said, no, you're going to do it, and you're going to do great.
Nice.
Oh.
And I said, okay, I'll try. I'll do the best I can. Because it's out of your hands. Once it's sent in, there's nothing else you can do. So I do the audition, and I was 75% happy with it. And I was just like, I don't know. And once I got my slate in there, and then, because they also wanted you to talk about other projects you've done and give a whole thing. Like, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I sent it because they want to get to know you and know your personality and, stuff like that. And I sent it in. It came out. So it's supposed to be a minute, right? It came out to 6 minutes long.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I was like, there is no way I'm getting this. No way. And so I'm in Puerto Rico. I do the other film there. I come back, and then I have a photo shoot for this really cool comic book cover. That night, I got an email. Congratulations, you got the part.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what?
That is awesome.
That's great.
And I got to tell you guys, it's not easy. I mean, you're auditioning nonstop. There's maybe a 2% chance you're going to get any gig that you audition for. It's really a beast, especially right here in LA. It's really hard to book an audition. Yeah. But they were really happy with what I gave them. And yeah, but so getting back to that. So in order to prepare for this role, I did my research on Anne. I did my research. Oh, well, then that's when they told me it's about Robert the Doll. This is the show name. Curse of Robert the Doll. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the other cool part was the director, Brian, I worked with him previously on another recreation show about 5 years prior. And that one was for like some true crime show. I can't remember. Oh no, it was Ice-T was hosting it.
Wow.
Something in Ice Cold Blood.
Okay.
I did a crime recreation show and I was the lead in that. And him and I, like, we got along so well. And then I saw he was a director. I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. So I did my research on Anne and the family and Robert the Doll. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about Robert the Doll, which is weird because I'm big into the paranormal. I'm big into all that. But for some reason, Robert the Doll kind of just, it wasn't on my radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's one of those, the right people know him, at the time, at the right time.
Yeah. Which is really weird. I knew of him, but I didn't know much about him, the history and everything, and Eugene and Anne. And so I was trying to, as an actor, I'm trying to go through these different emotions on what Anne was thinking during the time that she was married to Eugene and what she went through, the roller coaster of emotions. And she went through a lot. So I was really trying to channel her and do the best I could with that and really bring that to life. So how it's a full circle for me is, one, I'm big into the paranormal, big into horror and all that. And watching Child's Play has led me to where I am today in the horror world, because if I didn't watch Child's Play, who knows if I would have been as big of a horror fan as I am now, and that which has led me to wanting to be in horror films and be an actress. So it was really cool when I got this part. I was just over the moon.
But then you got to play with literally the
inspiration for
Child's Play, right?
Robert. That was the comment. Well, the story is that the screenplay author was inspired by another book, another movie, which was the Killer Dolls, or the one from Full Moon. But that writer was the one who was inspired by Robert the Doll stories. So it's kind of so that's how it worked. It was telephone, but that's why it worked really well. That was
awesome.
I know the legend is that he was inspired by Robert, but he was inspired by this other movie and then stole it from that. So
okay, I have two more Robert the Doll questions, and we're going to break.
Sounds
okay,
like
you don't get to talk about Robert the Doll anymore. We're going to talk about other paranormal things.
All right,
you're going to time out. But I
have one question too.
Okay, you ask one question. I'm going to watch this.
All right, I just want to say, so with now you worked with Stunt Robert mostly in the reenactment stuff.
Yes.
So which was made by the Jim Henson Company, which thrilled me when they brought him out of the box. I was giggling. So
to be honest, when I got to set, because we shot in this really beautiful neighborhood, I forget what it's called, but they have all Victorian houses, and they usually do like really cool haunts and things there. It's a really beautiful little niche of these Victorian houses that they brought in from all different parts of the country. And they shoot films there, and they do all sorts of
you
other
filmed
things.
in LA, right?
Yeah, and it was in Pasadena. It's right outside of Pasadena in LA.
All right. Now they were filming us in the artist's house, the original house down in Key West.
I am so jealous.
Yeah, I was in the turret room where Robert grew, where all this happened. And then
I can't believe it.
Oh man, it was crazy. And then they brought me over to see Robert, but they introduced Stunt Robert to real Robert while we were there. And so that's why I was wondering if you guys had to follow the stage instructions, because that was the thing. They started filming that moment, and I'm like, guys, you didn't ask either of them's permission before filming. And that's one of Robert's rules is, do you have permission? So I guess they said we had already shot so much of this other stuff, we didn't even think about that. So
thank God. Okay, so they shot that last.
Yes.
They shot my stuff first.
Your stuff last. So hopefully they'd already done all that. But I wanted to ask if they had asked his permission before filming or not.
Well, actually, when I got to set, I saw them like take him out of this like box thing. Yeah. And I was like, I was in shock. I didn't know. I guess I really didn't. They don't really give you much information before you get to set. I really didn't know kind of what I was in for. And I saw him and I was like, okay, everything's going to be fine. I'm not going to be haunted. Everything's going to be okay.
Well, when they introduced the two, I was just like, okay, you realize what you've done now, because Robert imprints on other effigies of himself. And that's what the whole Ozzy Osbourne, Jack Osbourne, where they had their own little mini Robert and had to do all this.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
wow.
You better treat this one just like Mr. Real Robert. And there better be an apology letter after everything's done.
Right. Well, the thing is, the first half of my scenes, I was holding him.
Yeah.
So I had to hold him for, the first half of the day. And I was so respectful. I was like, yay. Thank you. Are you, I was treating him like, okay, if this thing is haunted, I'm going to take all the precautions.
No, that was the right 1,000%, which was going to be my question.
I was.
Because that ends badly for everybody who doesn't do that.
And I got to say, things have been really great in the last couple of years. And we shot that, I think, 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. So I'm okay.
Yay. Yay. No plane crashes.
I treated him with respect. And, when I had to set him down, I was like, okay, Robert, I'm going to set you down, but your handler is going to be in here. And he had his own handler, and it was really cool.
Yeah. I'm glad it went well for you, because after that released, me and my sister both got into car accidents.
That was release when right after I filmed it, both my daughters, both my kids got in car accidents within a week.
Literally within a week of each other.
This is our producer, Callie.
Yeah, by the way, hi.
Yeah. So
and yes, so
I wrote a letter to Robert afterwards, said, Robert, I don't know what I did wrong, but we tried to do everything right. And
I haven't been in an accident since. So
okay. Thank God. You're all, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
that's the thing when it comes to the paranormal is you have to be very careful and you have to take precautions no matter what.
Yep. Don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
Trust me, I learned my lesson, and we can talk about that later.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. So we're going to take a quick break, travelers. We'll be right back.
Woo.
Eerie, Appalachia. Gear up for a frightful jaunt into the darkest reaches of the ancient Appalachians. Folks deep within the Appalachian hollers lean close to the campfire to share stories of the inexplicable with hushed awe. Monsters rumbling in the hills, strange lights darting through the pitch black night sky, horrible occurrences almost ineffable in their bizarre tragedy. Tall tales, you might say. Tell that to the Flatwoods monster in Braxton County, West Virginia, or the Goat Man of Louisville. Look into his humanoid eyes and let him know you don't believe. And what of those apparitions in Mammoth Cave's Corpse Rock, or the Satan spawn known as the Jersey Devil? How do you respond when confronted by these mysteries? From the metaphysical energy that swirls near Serpent Mound in Ohio to Point Pleasant's Mothman legacy, Mark Muncy and Carrie Schultz explore the dark history lurking in the shadows of Appalachia. Read by Mark Muncy, author and experts on strange folklore with appearances on shows such as Ancient Aliens, The Curse of Robert the Doll, and many, many more.
Greetings, mortals and others. I'm Dick Terhune, the voice from hell. I work with haunted attractions all over the U.S., Canada, and Europe to increase audiences and enhance their experience with highly effective commercials, narrations, animatronic character voices, whatever your dark heart desires. Let me help you do more, scare more, profit more. Find out more at Voice from Hell on Facebook and at voicefromhell.com.
We're back. I just want to point out we're not talking about this anymore, but you literally brought up the two things I was going to bring up.
I did. So I was curious. I was just
super creepy. That's why I laughed.
He beat you to it.
Yeah.
And so with that, we're going to stop talking about you, Robert. We love you, Robert.
You're amazing, and you're the most handsome boy in the entire world.
Yes. So thank you for letting us talk about you.
Yes. Well,
Thank you.
obviously he likes Sarah. So
Yeah, Sarah took care of him.
yeah, Sarah took very good care. Yeah.
Robert's mom. So.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your experiences though. So first of all, I love that you watched Child's Play because mine was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah.
And that's
so good.
Yeah, so good. But let's talk about your experiences because you have experience. Where do you want to begin us on this journey?
Oh gosh. Well, I guess I was into the paranormal before I was into watching horror films. My mom, she's, like I said, she was super religious at the time, and she still is to a certain extent. We lived across the street from our church that we went to, and, it was a very important part of our life. And, but my mom was always just into spirits and ghosts and, the paranormal. And her interest in that made me interested in it. So she had her own experiences. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but she would tell us these stories like when we were super young, which is funny because, that would of course scare a kid. But when I was in kindergarten, I remember we would have a break and go to the library, and all the books I would be looking for all of them would always have to do with spirits and ghosts and things like that. That was it. That is all I looked for.
Yeah. Did you have an invisible friend?
Not that I know of.
Okay. A lot of people who are younger have invisible friends, and then they're told they're imaginary friends, but they're not imaginary friends. They're invisible friends. I'm a firm
something
believer.
we've discussed before. So
that is really interesting
because I think kids can see things that we, as adults, were told so much that that's why I don't like the term imaginary friend. I prefer the term invisible friend because parents can't see them. But if you ask a child about this friend, they will tell you so much about the history of these.
I believe
friends. Yeah. So, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue on.
But I remember I lived in this house, the house that was across the street from our church. And we had this room called, it was a pretty old house. I think it was built in the, 30s, 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
My grandma owned it, but she let my mom and my sister and I live in it, which was really great. And we had this room upstairs called the Blue Room, and it was all blue, like a really dark, kind of weird blue color. And it was the only room in the house that had that color, and I don't know why. But my sister said she saw something in there, and my mom, if I remember correctly, said she saw something in there as well. So we definitely think there was something in the house besides us. I never saw anything, and I don't know how I would handle it if I did, especially when I was a kid. I don't think I would have handled it very well.
Yeah.
But I remember my sister telling me and my mom telling me that they had some things happen. Oh, and actually, it's going back to me. My mom heard it because we had these old creaky stairs. She would hear something walking down it every now and then. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It creeps me out actually just thinking about it right now. But like I said, I've always been into that. It's always interested me. As a kid, I would rent, the books and read about it. I read about the Fox sisters.
Oh,
the
yeah.
famous sisters
Victorian
that were the
spiritualism.
mediums.
Yep.
They might have been debunked. I don't remember.
They said they recanted. They said, "Oh no, this is all fake." And then one of the sisters said, "No, I faked it all. This is all we faked it." And then later she said, "No, I had to say that because we were getting pestered so much." So it's a recant of a recant.
Who knows?
Sisters is a whole fun thing. We'll do that another time. So
it's just interesting to hear about all these different stories. And the other one that always really interested me was the brown lady at Ryham Hall.
Yes.
Remember that
painting? Yeah.
And that was in was that the UK or England or something?
That's in England, yeah. And it's That is probably one of the most famous ghost pictures of all time.
Yeah.
Because it's early days of photography, and it's exactly what you want when you see a ghost. Supposedly.
Yeah. And
it was what all of us grew up. I think it was on even the Time Life books of hauntings. One of them, that was the cover.
Yeah. You want to know something funny that you're talking about Time Life books? We have some really great bookstores out here in LA, some really old ones, and they have all sorts of really old books and stuff. I got the whole collection of that Life. What was it? Like,
yeah, the Life magazine, Time Life books, Tales of Mystery and the Unexplained.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mysteries of the Unknown.
And Mysteries of the Unknown. That's it. Yes.
I got the whole collection.
Yay!
Recently.
Those are great. They did that one, and they did the fantasy one, which is like elves and dragons and stuff. Those were the two.
Well, then of course you got the scary stories.
Yeah, Scary Stories Tell in the Dark.
These were just, these are the kind of books. The artwork in these are just, it's so damn creepy.
That was the art my wife Carrie tried to do for Eerie Travels. Was she was emulating Scary Stories. She wanted to do her own take. She's like, I'm not going to do this because that's his style, but I'm going to do our cryptids and monsters are going to be done that way. So
I just love it so much. I could talk all day about it. But
so what about what is your favorite scary movie? Let's do top 3 scary movies that you love.
Actually, I didn't even mention all the haunting stuff that I've.
Oh yeah, yes. Continue on.
Haunting.
Sorry, Erica's jumping ahead.
I do.
Jeez.
I jump.
I was waiting for.
I could talk all day long. But yeah. So I guess. So my boyfriend Joe and I we're big into hauntings and stuff, and when I got together with him, which was in 2009. So we've been together a very long time. He's in the industry as well. He's an amazing screenwriter, and I'm an actress. So we work very well together.
Works good.
It does. It works. We work very well together. And, we did a lot of traveling for horror conventions and films and things like that all around the US. And, when I would go to a movie, and if it was somewhere new that I've never been, I would look up different haunted locations in the area that I'm staying at. So if I had a day off, I could go visit it or check it out. And so it's a free trip, and then I could check out all these cool haunted locations.
Suddenly you're writing a book series called Eerie Travels. Yeah.
Well, actually, Joe and I, we wrote a couple books based on our paranormal, what we've seen and where we've been. Salem, Massachusetts. I don't know. Have you guys been there?
Yes.
Yes.
How great is that? I love Salem. We used to go every year for like a handful of years. They have some really great. They have what's that restaurant called? The Lyceum.
Yeah, the Lyceum. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We went there. We ate there on the first floor, and then they have an upstairs, and that's where all the activity happens. That's what people say? So when we were done eating, we just asked the waiter, we're like, hey, do you mind if we just, go check out upstairs? We won't be long. Like, yeah, no problem. So after we were done eating, we went upstairs, and it was a completely different feeling. The second we got up to the top step, it felt really heavy. And as you guys know, when you're investigating or doing things like that, like a lot of it is how you feel, how you're you get these goosebumps, or things feel heavy, and you just get these weird feelings. But up there felt really, it was more of a feeling than anything. But the one place that we went to in Salem that we had some things happen was, what is that hotel called? It's the big white hotel. It's one of the more haunted locations in Salem.
Is it George? Is that
it? They used to have like peach trees or something planted there, and then.
Man, I'm blanking. Time for Google.
We're gonna get Google. Google to the rescue.
Yeah.
Google.
Google to the rescue.
Huh? Yeah,
It's the sixth floor.
Yeah, but it's I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Giant.
The sixth floor is the most haunted.
It's right down from the church.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm blanking on the name myself. So
and they have a library in the basement.
Is it the Hawthorne?
Yes.
The Hawthorne. Yes.
Okay.
Hawthorne Hotel.
There we go. Google saved the day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Google.
Yes. Have you guys been there?
Yes. I had brunch there. There was a pianist.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that wasn't the scary part of the story.
No, continue. Yeah, now that we're back on track. Sorry, gang.
So we stayed there overnight and we stayed on the sixth floor. And that night it was really, I felt uneasy from jump. We get into the room and Joe's in the bathroom. He's, just getting ready for bed. He comes out and he had this really, it was almost like a handprint on his chest, and it was very red, like a red handprint. And I was like, what happened to you? What's on your chest? And he goes, oh, it's nothing. And I was like, okay. And then, so we go to bed. Joe falls asleep almost instantly, and he's one that stays up overnight. He can't sleep for anything. I'm always the one that falls asleep like that. Well, it was completely opposite that night. I was literally just looking around, very freaked out. And I remember at one point I did fall, I was half asleep, and I was turned over in the bed, and then I feel him put his arm around me. And then I wake up and look, and he's facing that way. So it felt like something.
Oh, Erika's out.
And I'm like, oh, and I see nothing there. And Joe's facing that way. I was like, freaked out of my mind. And then, I can't remember if it happened before or after, but there were these knocks on the doors. So it sounded like there was a knock at the furthest door down the hall, and the knocking kept getting closer and closer and closer down the hall. And I was just waiting for somebody to knock on our door, and nobody does. And it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning at that point. And I mean, these old buildings, you can usually hear pretty well through the walls and stuff. And I didn't hear anybody out there. It was just a really weird thing. And I had some red sunglasses. They were my favorite sunglasses. They were sitting on one of the far end tables on the other side of the room. I wake up in the morning and we're getting ready. And Joe at that point was honest with me. And he said, I didn't want to tell you last night, but I felt a heavy, it felt like somebody was pushing down on my chest when I was in the bathroom. Wow. And that's why it was red.
Yeah, super no.
And I was like,
Erika would be out.
Yeah, Erika would be out.
I'd be leaving my shit.
Erika would
gone.
not be able to do it.
No,
so.
I'd be like, and we're gone. We're gone.
So we're packing, and I'm like, we're about to leave, and I'm like, wait, I set my sunglasses here. I'm very particular where I set my stuff. I wouldn't set them anywhere else. They were sitting right on this table. They were not there. They were completely gone. My favorite sunglasses were gone. And when we got back from our trip, they were nowhere. They weren't in my bag. They weren't in nothing.
Uh-oh.
So they disappeared. Yeah.
We need to get you our little travel protection bottles.
Yep.
I need them made because he brings stuff with him.
It's the old Houdon Gris. Yeah, so you have a Gris bag. You gotta
get you one of those. Take it with you.
Oh, that would be great.
You've been on.
Well, but I've been to, like I said, when we go somewhere, we love to travel and check out haunted locations. So we've been to Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Yay, Waverly Hills! We love.
Have you been there?
Yeah, Louisville. Yeah, we are stopping there on our way to CryptidCon, and they do a haunted house in the haunted location, which is amazing.
I think that is so cool.
If you like Waverly, Trans-Allegheny, which is in West Virginia, is equal, if not better. So
I don't know, because I also went to the one up in Erie, Pennsylvania, the Erie,
oh,
Pennsylvania cemetery.
Penhurst is good too. So.
The
Oh,
cemetery.
Penhurst. Yeah, that's where they shoot. They shoot a lot of movies there, don't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they've done that quite a bit because
I'm
it's
talking about the
that's-
cemetery.
yeah, the
not-
cemetery right
Yeah.
next to
Yeah.
Penhurst. Yeah,
Yeah.
That is one place that's on my bucket list. I would love to shoot a film there. That would be
it's good.
amazing.
Yeah, we love,
But
we love our
Waverly, we had a lot of
we
crazy
love our
things.
Kirkbride asylums. So
Oh yeah. Have you to get off topic real quick? Have you been to the prison in Pennsylvania? In Philadelphia.
oh,
Not yet. That's this year
that's
in
this year.
December. In
This
December, we're going.
we go there. So yeah.
What's
it's,
it called?
Oh,
Just had it.
not Moundsville. That's West
No.
Virginia. Hold on.
We're Googling.
I know. I got it.
Okay.
It's Eastern State.
Eastern
Yes.
State.
Eastern
Eastern
State. I kept wanting to say
State Penitentiary.
state. I'm like,
That
well, they're all
place-
state. Yeah.
Right. I love that place. I was filming a movie there, and I had the day off, and I was literally, my hotel was literally 2 blocks from there. So I
Nice.
walked there. But I remember the night I got in, we were at this bar, and I looked over, and there's like this big wall, and I was like, what building is that? That must be like the highway or something. Like, nope, that's Eastern State Penitentiary. I said, what? And they're like, your hotel's
Yeah.
like 2 blocks from there. So I went there by myself the next day, or when I had the day off, and I toured it all by myself. Nothing crazy happened or anything. It was during the day, and it was just
Yeah.
the history of it.
The
It was
history
just
is amazing. And
amazing.
I love taking Erika to fun place. We're doing a Mothman festival later this year, and I get to take her to the Mushroom Mines, and we're gonna go to Moundsville Prison in Huntington, and
Oh,
you get to
fun.
sit with old Sparky.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
I've been to many haunted
You've been to many
places.
already, so
Yeah.
yeah.
You
I'm
act
just
like you're
no, I'm just introducing you to some you didn't know about.
That's
the
true.
idea.
He wants to see about the mushroom mines because it's very creepy in the mushroom mines.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a place to film a movie. But,
Yes.
Oh my God, I would
It's
love
an abandoned
that.
mine system in Olive Hill, Kentucky, and it's incredible. So it's
Oh wow, that's
so fun to
great.
do. But
Um,
yeah, all right. So now speaking of your horror films,
Okay.
what have you ever had a haunted set? Or any issues like that while filming any of these? Because I've heard that it's a thing. It's more than a few people have emailed me, hey, I was filming this horror movie and then this thing happened, and things like that. So
Yeah. Fortunately, but unfortunately, wait a second. No, I did.
I
did. I have to go back in my brain. I have to
You've
think.
done a lot.
of
You've done a lot of
films.
projects. So.
I say I have a drunken gnome up there that has to find the post-its, and a lot of times it doesn't find the right post-it. It brings me something and it's like, this is what you, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm thinking at all.
I usually can only remember like 5 years ago, and then it's all kind of like, a little foggy, but okay, yes, I did. So I did this film. I just had a really small part in it. This was like 10, 12 years ago. And back when I was living in Minnesota, and in Minnesota, there's a lot of haunted locations because it's very old. A lot of old places, old buildings, beautiful. But the filmmakers that night for my scene were shooting in this place called the Soap Factory.
Ooh.
And it was a completely abandoned building now, but it used to be, this big, beautiful factory back in the heyday that brought in a lot of revenue and things like that. But now it sits abandoned, and they use it for like different haunts and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really know anything about this place. And my friends and my one friend at the time, he was also into the paranormal and doing different investigations. So while we weren't filming, before we started shooting our scenes, which was later that night, we decided to go down into the basement. So they were filming on the top floor, and I think it was like the 3rd or 4th floor. And so we were hanging out all the way down in the basement. And by that time it was pretty dark out, and It was really creepy. There was probably about 3 or 4 of us down there checking it out, because they say that the basement's like the most haunted area of the whole building, because they were looking it up when we were there. I was like, okay, let's check this out. We go downstairs, and like I said, they do haunt stuff. So there's all this like haunted stuff, you know, hanging around and kind of boxed away, but some of it was still out. And we go down there. It's a chilly night, but it wasn't too bad. But we're walking down there. There's no lights anywhere, pitch dark. So we had, I think, our cell phones at the time, and we were just looking around. And I'm trying to think. So we get to this one area. We're pretty deep in the basement at this point. And I decided it was like, there was like this really weird, creepy, haunted like door area. It was like a door and a couple, you know, fake windows. It was like a facade to a, you know, like a brick building or something. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I got this just weird feeling. And, you know, like we talked about, you can usually feel things. And I said, guys, stop. Let's just, you know, just take it in, get, you know, feel the atmosphere, feel what's, you know, just listen. Let's just be quiet and listen. So we're just standing there, and I decided to take a picture at this point in time. I just felt very uneasy. So I decided to take a picture with a flash. And then I saw like this, like, it was like a mist in front of me, and it took up most of the frame. And I was like, okay, is that my flash? Was that my breath? Like, what was this? And it wasn't my breath, because it wasn't that cold. I was like, all right, I'm going to take in the exact same spot, like maybe like 10 seconds after I saw that on my camera, I took another picture, and nothing. So that mist was there and then gone.
And that was one you saw, like, did you see it physically or just on the camera when you took the picture?
Well, you know, I saw it on the picture.
Okay.
I didn't see it in person.
All right.
And I felt something at that point in time. That's why I decided to take the picture.
Yeah.
And I took it, and then I got that mist, and then I took another one soon after that, nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then right when I was like, oh my God, guys, you got to see this. A light turned on.
So
and the light was
in the area.
The light was like kind of deep more into the basement. And we were like, hold the phone. Hold on, what's happening here? So then we start going towards light. We're like, okay, we're trying to, you know, figure out what it was. We're trying to debunk it. Was it, you know, motion censored? Was it, you know, somebody messing with us because they know we're down there looking for ghosts? And what was it? What was happening? And we go down there, and we just stand around just waiting for the light to turn off or whatever. We're looking around. Is it motion censored? Where's the switch for this light? We couldn't find anything. The light turns off. And so we start walking around the light to see if it's motion censored or something, and nothing. So when the light turned off, and we were like, all right, we're out of here. So we ran.
I wouldn't have gone towards the light. I would have been like,
you got out the doors. Out the
like,
doors, so.
Good. I got the misty picture. I'm out.
Erica's got the Shaggy response to everything.
We always try, like, the way I look at it is I've always tried to debunk things, because, you know, it could be anything. But when it's something you can't explain, something you can't debunk, that's when you're like, okay, there's something here with us.
Yeah. That's what we call, we go to the Shirley Jackson from Haunting of Hill House. She called it preternatural. Stuff we don't understand yet. Not supernatural, not paranormal. Just stuff that's there. Yeah. We just can't explain it. So most people pretend it doesn't exist, but you know, hopefully at some point we do. So
I gotta ask you guys, when you went to Waverly,
yeah,
did you meet Timmy?
Oh yeah, we played with the little ball in Timmy's room. That's up on that's almost the top floor, right? It's the 5th floor.
Yeah, as far as I know, he hangs out on the 5th floor for sure. Yeah. I don't know what other floor. Maybe
they have that little playroom area that they usually
Yes.
A lot of paranormal teams bring toys for him. We discussed, paranormal teams bring trigger objects for lots of things. And Timmy is probably the most famous ghost of Waverly. Although when we were there, it was Carrie and I, we were there, and there was a shadowy figure in one of the lower floors.
Yeah, I think that's the third floor.
Yeah. And that
is that where they have
that was the one we had the most experience with, that was just like it was playing with us, literally running just out of sight.
And was it the super dark figure? Yeah. The one that they say you gotta look out for?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
he gave me a really bad, scary vibe. Like that.
No, he's definitely not a pleasant person.
No, he's
not like people.
Yep, he does not.
And we were there
he'll let it be known.
We were there for the haunt, and he was not happy that was going on too. So he was making his presence known to those of us, that were there a day or two early to tour the haunt. But then they also gave us a tour of Waverly, which is, that's
yeah. When we first saw him, I believe it's the third floor. And you look down the hallway and there's all these shadows because there's all these open doors. So you get the shadows from the moon.
Yeah.
And we did the 8-hour overnight investigation.
Nice.
So we were there all night. We explored every inch of that place. And one of the guides takes us up to the third floor, and he was telling us about that spirit, that he's a dark entity and you got to look out for him. He said, okay, I want you to stand here at the end of the hallway. Just look down, focus your eyes. You're in the dark. And just pay attention to the doorways, where the moon's coming through. And almost instantly, we saw a dark figure kind of peek out of the doorway, like it knew we were there.
Oh yeah, he likes to mess with them.
I mean, that's literally straight out of a horror film.
Oh yeah, and it's literally the two hands on the door leaning in. Yeah, it's the Boris Karloff Frankenstein pose. Yeah.
And he gets it, and then he goes, "Okay, guys, now that we saw that, we're gonna go straight down the hallway."
Yeah, the guides are like, "Yeah," we're like, "Wait, we want to see more." The guide's like, "Nope, I'm done." I'm like, "Why do you work here if you're not going to?"
He goes, "Yeah,
he knows. Yeah, they know.
They know this is step one.
Step one is get away from this thing."
Yeah.
Good. You saw it. Everybody, move along. Let's go. Oh my goodness.
And the body shoot, it's really obviously really creepy down there too. We didn't really get too much down there, but we got halfway down and we were just hanging out, just being quiet and listening. We heard something moaning at the end of the body shoot. So that was very unsettling.
Yeah. There's that. Waverly never disappoints.
It never does.
There are a few places, any of those Kirkbride asylums. We've discussed them several. We talked about Trans-Allegheny. We've talked about a few others there. They are, road bound Erie, Appalachia. So it's
we got a really great EVP there too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
In Waverly.
Electronic voice phenomena for those who aren't in the know, and that's usually when you ask a question, you get some sort of weird response. You don't hear it while you're there, but the machine picks it up. So
yeah, you want to know how we heard it? I got to tell you how we heard it real quick.
All right.
So we were in this one room. I believe it was one of the operating rooms, and that's where, for those who don't know about Waverly, they used to house tuberculosis patients there, and patients would die by the day, and that's why they created this thing called the body chute, so they could secretly wheel the bodies down while the other patients were, trying to recover from whatever surgeries, or they just wanted to keep up the morale of the folks that lived there.
They need to see dozens of bodies being.
But so many people died there, and it's a really sad place. But the history, it's just so interesting. But we were in one of the operating rooms, and we heard that there was a spirit in there that likes that he's another dark entity. And so we're like, okay, we got to check this out. So we're in there, we have our night vision camera, we have our recorder going, and we weren't getting really anything. We weren't feeling anything. And Joe, of course, he starts to kind of provoke it a little bit, which we don't normally do that, but he just,
we're not a
you know,
fan
he
of
was just,
provoking,
he
but
was
it
playing
does
with
work.
fire. He's like, oh, come on, there's, you know, who, you know, there's no one in here. And, you know, I don't remember what he was saying, but all of a sudden the room, again, the atmosphere, it got really like heavy, and it just was not feeling right. And I was like, we gotta go. Like this isn't gonna end well. We need to leave. And while he was provoking and everything, we had the recorder going. When we left Waverly, and while we did leave, we did say, you know, please don't follow us. Thank you for having us. You know, you do the niceties, so hopefully nothing follows you home. But we do think something did.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah, very important. And be just as respectful as possible. You don't want to take any chances. And so we're driving home, and we have the recorder plugged into the car speakers, trying to listen to see if we got any EVPs that night. All of a sudden, we hear, "Get out."
Wow.
Literally loud in the car while I'm driving. I'm like,
the best. Oh my god.
And that is when Joe was provoking. And we didn't hear it. We weren't in the room, but when that atmosphere changed in that room, that's when it said it.
Yeah.
So for those of you who want to do ghost hunting and are interested in it, that's great. Just be very careful. Don't take any chances, because you can really seriously get hurt. Something can attach itself to you. You have to take all the precautions you can. It's a very dangerous thing to do.
We say that all the time, and we say be very respectful, because the truth is you don't know what it is. We've talked about fear mongers on the show. There are other things other than just spirits out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not want to necessarily take those things home, because you have no idea what their intention is or what they're trying to do. He says yes, as if he doesn't take home haunted.
I know it happens. It's a sideline of my work. So, you know, it's just, you know, as Callie can attest, you know.
Well, listen, this man, Sarah, he has brought so many haunted things into our house.
Dude.
It sucks. I mean, it's
that's
cool, you know? Like,
we
it's
live
cool
states
stuff.
apart now, so, but
maybe that's
Sarah,
enough to keep the spirits away.
Oh
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. This was.
Thank you guys, and you know, like I said, is it time already?
It's actually it is, but we're gonna definitely have to have you back.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to talk some more. Because we haven't even talked Bigfoot or aliens or anything yet. So
I have a lot of awesome films coming out. I have a film called That's a Wrap. It's a slasher, very meta. It takes place in a film studio with a rap with actors from this film, and that there's a killer running loose. That one's coming out August 25th. Please check it out. It'll be on streaming everywhere, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yay. And where do people, shameless self-promotion time, if people want to follow you and follow your work and see what else you're in, how do they do that?
They can check me out on Facebook. You can just find me, Sarah French. I'm always online. I'm always promoting, and I'm always chatting with everybody. Like, I love talking to fans. And Facebook's great. Instagram, Sarah French Online. And I'm on Twitter as well, under Scarlet_Salem. And yeah, I'm trying to be everywhere.
Coming up soon?
Conventions. I do actually have a convention coming up. I don't really do much anymore because I'm very focused on film work, and it's been really great actually this year. And we have a whole lot of things lined up for next year. But I'm doing Days of the Dead in Los Angeles.
Yes.
That's August 25th to the 27th. And we're actually going to have a panel there with some of the actors from That's a Wrap. And we will be giving away posters as well.
Hey,
awesome. So absolutely go check out Sarah there. Sarah, thank you so much for being here with us on Eerie Travels.
Thank you guys. This was so much fun.
And it was fun working with you, actually talking with you this time. So, you know,
well, let's do it again.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon, and we'll bring our bestest boy with us at some point. So
no,
yeah.
we're not bringing the bestest boy because he needs to be there for everyone else because he's the most handsome
That's
boy
right.
in
He
the
needs to
world.
stay at Key West.
Thank you,
Yes,
Erica.
he is protecting
But
Key West.
again, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Robert, for letting us talk about you a little bit
Thank
today.
you, Robert.
Yes, thank you, Robert.
And you can always find that Curse of Robert Dahl. It's on Discovery.
I believe it's
Plus, or
Discovery.
Max.
It's
Yeah,
Discovery
Max now.
Plus. Yeah,
And
I believe I'm
Amazon. Yeah, and
Yes.
Amazon Prime. Yeah. So definitely check that out. And you can see Sarah being a wonderful actress and hear me telling goofy stories. So thank you, gang, so much for joining us. As always, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. We are in Paranormality Magazine's top 10 podcasts, and we are on Podbean's podcast to watch. So we'd really like to expand that more. So please, do all the things, give it all the love, and we will see you on the other side.